When you're new to the United States, you are at a very vulnerable state. You're probably feeling lonely and you're trying to look for friends, or you're trying to get as much help as possible. However, there are going to be people who can take advantage of your situation. And if you think about it, you or someone you love sacrifice a whole lot of things for you to get to the United States. And it would be a shame if those sacrifices were wasted because you ended up with the wrong crowd. Unlike liars, cheaters, and thieves, these types of personalities don't really look evil at first, which makes them very dangerous. So, if you're aware of the signs that you're dealing with one of these people, at least you'll have a warning sign from the very beginning to put your guard up and say, all right, I'm gonna have to avoid this person or deal with this person. All right, let's get started. The first one are those who don't mean what they say. These are the types of people who constantly flake on you. You know you already need help. And when you see someone who keeps doing this and say, I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to do that for you, or I'm going to meet you here, or we're going to do this together, and they don't show up, stay away from that person because there's really no weight to their words. I always thought that only teenagers did this. And it was really disappointing when I became an adult and I started meeting people who in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s doing this. Number two, those who keep taking without giving. These are the types of people who don't have respect for your time. For example, they could be calling you at 1 a.m. and saying, hey, can you give me a ride? Or they're asking for a ride across town and not give you gas. Now, if they do this every once in a while, it's fine. But if it's a constant thing and they don't care about your time and you have other things to do, cut them off. Number three, those who only talk about their problems. Have you met some people where when they come in the room, all of a sudden the mood just gets dark, because this person will talk about their problems and they're gonna turn you into their emotional garbage can. And man, I've met so many people who are like this, and it just it sucks the energy out of you. So they're not worth your time. Number four, those who only focus on negative things. This is kind of like number three, but with this, I'm going to give you an example. So a long time ago, when I was working for this one company, someone came up with a really good idea. He pitched the boss and boss said, let's do it. This person, let's call him Mike, told his coworker about it. And the coworker went like this, but we got to deal with this. We got to deal with that. There's so many factors that we got to consider, Well, the thing with Mike was that he already knew some of those obstacles that he was going to have to deal with. However, he was focusing on the opportunity. But with this other person, when he was only thinking of the obstacles that he was going to have to deal with, that's why he didn't want to execute the campaign. So I know I'm just talking about this within the context of business, but there are other areas as well where people do this all the time, with relationships, with school, and so many more. And you want to be surrounded by people who focuses on the opportunities. Yes, don't be naive and say there are no problems that we're going to have to deal with, but be like Mike, where he figured out some of the obstacles that he was going to have to face, but he was also focusing on the opportunity. Number five, those who gossip. Gossipers destroy communities, and it only takes one person to spread one vile information about someone to ruin relationships. And the worst part about gossiping is that it's contagious even for you. There's something about us humans that whenever we get information about someone that's pretty juicy, for some reason we just want to share it at the cost of someone else's reputation. And that's something that you want to avoid. And the kinds of person instead that you want to be around with are the people who actually says good things about others. For example, at our CrossFit gym, we have a policy among coaches to never say anything bad about anyone. Why? Because it actually breeds trust. We want to be the types of leaders in that gym where the clients are going to say, oh, that guy, I know he has my back because he's never going to say bad things about me. So gossipers, stay away from them. Number six, those who are lazy. In America, you need to work hard because it's what's going to help you pay the bills and it's going to help you achieve your goals and make your dreams come true. However, it's going to be really tempting to be around lazy people. Why? Because it's relaxing. Like I said, America is a land of opportunity, but it doesn't mean that those opportunities are going to be the one chasing you. You're going to have to be the one going after those opportunities, and it takes hard work to do that, and being lazy won't serve you well. Number seven, those who cut corners. You want to become like this valuable person who has skills, and you can't do that by just taking shortcuts and cutting corners. it's tempting to do this as well, because when you see others, right, coworkers or acquaintances who are doing this, you're saying, wow, why can't I do that? They're getting results with half the time. But if you look closely at your work, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, their work is actually unsatisfactory. So you want to be the kind of person who has ethics and who has high standard of work. Number 8, those who blame others for their shortcomings. These are people who just makes excuses. For example, I met someone in a competition and he blamed his coach for not doing well in that competition, and it was the most atrocious thing I have ever seen. On top of that, I've actually seen this person train and he wasn't giving 100% effort, and he had the audacity to tell his coach that it was his coach's fault. This is especially bad if you're seeing leaders blaming others for their mistakes. These are the types of people that you don't want to associate with, because it's just ugly. For example, for me, when I see someone doing that, making excuses, it's extremely disgusting in my eyes. And I'm not perfect, but I try to practice extreme ownership, and I try to avoid people who do this, who blame others for their shortcomings. Number 9, those who are jealous. These are the types of people who will feel jealous instead of feeling happy for you when you accomplish something. So they'll either say something bad, or they're going to try to do something to drag you down, or they're going to do some underhanded tactics just to one-up you. Number 10, those who are arrogant. These are the types of people who act like they're better than everyone else. Just because they've tasted success, think that it's a license for them to step on others' backs. These types of people also try to go out of their way to prove themselves, even if they're wrong. Number 11, manipulative people. Let me tell you a story of the time where I encountered manipulation, where I was at the receiving end of it when I was in college. A guy who was really good at playing yo-yo showed up to one of our friends' house one time when I was in college, and I complimented him. I told him, wow, you're pretty good at this. I was like, oh, thanks, man. Here, you can have this. I mean, he just gave the yo-yo to me, and it was like $50. He told me it was $50, and at that time, this was maybe 2011, 2012. That was an expensive toy. I was naive to accept the toy, and I said, hey, thanks, man, $50, I'll take it. The following night, that same person called me. He got my number from someone, and he said, hey, Clint, I'm in trouble. I don't have a place to stay. Can I please stay at your place? Can I stay with you for just a couple weeks? Because he gave me that yo-yo, I felt obligated to let him stay at my place for a little bit. Now, here's the thing. Some of my friends knew about him, and they warned me about the things that he could do. And they told me that one time he lived with a couple and destroyed a wall because he has anger problems. Another time he was in another apartment that he was crashing in and yelled at one of the roommates. He had the audacity to do that. So he stayed with us for a couple of days. That's when I started seeing, oh wow, this kid is someone that I have to deal with. Remember all the personality types that I mentioned already? He had all of them, and he was a pain in the butt. 3 days later, we kicked him out. Number 12, those who don't respect your beliefs. There are just people out there who have strong opinions, which is fine. However, some people have strong opinions and they force their opinions on others. And this is really, really annoying because they don't respect your opinions, Number 13, those who are insecure. These are the types of people who feel like they're lacking in some areas of their life and they're compensating for it. It's not really an evil fault, but it becomes bad when you're involved and they're manipulating you. For example, they're going to ask you, who are you with? Why didn't you text me? Why didn't you hang out with me? Why wasn't I invited? Or if it's a leader, if it's one of your bosses, they're going to be like micromanaging you and seeing what you're doing, and if your idea is better than theirs, they're going to try to like sabotage your campaign. Unfortunately, this is happening in the workforce, in the professional world, because people are people. You're going to see people like this in all circles. And just like the people who are jealous, they're going to do some underhanded tactics and manipulation just for them to feel secure. In closing, I'm aware that these types of people exist in all countries. However, for you, the stakes are higher. You have a second chance at life, and that second chance might be taken away if you associate yourself with these types of people. Now, if you can't avoid them, then fight like hell not to become like them. Alright guys, you got this, and I'll see you next time.